Now from the 12 News I team. For 5 hours on Wednesday, Arizona lawmakers listened to disturbing testimony about gaps in Arizona's mental health care system. And even after 5 hours, it barely scratched the surface.
12 News journalist Erica Stapleton has been exposing these gaps in her reporting. And it now brings us another story of one woman whose family is forever changed.
The past few years in Crystal Fox's life.
The mental health system is just a disaster in Arizona.
Tragedy after tragedy after tragedy, all leading her to this moment.
Thank you for asking me to come today.
Speaking to lawmakers about her son, Joshua.
Oh my gosh, he was the cutest kid. He was athletic, very friendly, very sociable.
About 6 years ago, in Josh's late teens, Crystal said he started experiencing delusions. Court records describe how serious Josh's symptoms were, that he was a danger to himself and a danger to others.
We both knew he was psychotic. We both knew he had schizophrenia.
Crystal and her ex-husband, John, tried to get help for Josh, but she says hospitals and clinics turned them away.
Yeah, we could not get him help.
And then, in June 2021, while they were out getting groceries, Josh stabbed his father, John, to death. Josh was arrested and taken to jail. Crystal said eventually he started to receive treatment.
He even said that he wished he hadn't killed his dad, and especially since now he knows his dad was trying to help him.
What did you tell him?
I told him that I forgave him, that it was schizophrenia that killed his dad.
After taking a plea deal, Josh was sentenced to prison in December 2023 at 23 years old.
But because he had gotten medication and court-ordered treatment, we had these glimmers of hope.
Hope faded fast.
On December 20th, Joshua hung himself in his cell. His brain had already pretty much quit functioning.
Josh hung himself less than 2 days after he was booked into the state prison in Phoenix and died a few days later at the hospital, just before Christmas.
I am a psychiatric nurse. I worked for 35 years in behavior mental health. The whole mental health system failed me.
With Josh's history, Crystal doesn't know why Josh was in a position where he could hurt himself in prison. In an email, a state corrections department spokesperson said they investigate all prison deaths and couldn't comment on a pending investigation.
We don't know what happened. We don't know who dropped the ball.
Back to this hearing, 2 weeks after Josh died. Lawmakers and community members serving on the Legislative Psychiatric Hospital Review Council, including the prison system's mental health director.
He lasted 30 hours.
Who stayed silent after Crystal detailed her son's suicide in prison.
I really couldn't look at her.
Crystal's not alone. She's part of a growing group called Mad Moms, parents and loved ones of people who have serious mental illnesses, who run into hurdle after hurdle in Arizona's behavioral health care system, from the lack of long-term beds to little oversight at group homes and other care clinics.
This is, without a doubt, a community problem.
I don't see providers here telling us about their solutions.
The council vowed to help.
No one's held accountable. There's no teeth in the law.
We can get something done if you're serious about it.
It would be another tragedy for Crystal if the talk never turns to action.
It should not be that hard.
So painful to hear those stories. Erica joining us now. Erica, the big question, what are some of the changes that these moms say they want to see?
Well, a lot. All of these stories are unique, and there's a lot of different gaps, and some of them are very little, but as you can see, the outcomes could be bad. But the main thing that these moms are trying to push for now are more beds, long-term beds where people can actually get the care they need long-term rather than being released to the streets or released without any of the treatment that they need. And they really want to have more supports for family members like themselves. They say a lot of times they're struggling, and this group is really grassroots. They're just getting started with what they're saying, and it's been a resource for all of them to really connect with one another too.
So how receptive were the lawmakers?
So this council is made up of lawmakers and community members, and the lawmakers that are on it, many of them were new to this council, so they seemed really engaged, but the change will actually come during the session. So this council is to kind of talk together, hear ideas, hear input, but the real change will come in the session that starts later this month.
All right, well, hopefully they can make some progress. All right, Erica, thank you.